Smillie, Carol Smillie.
Punchline.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Carol has actually had a little change in direction, and we're here more to talk about her new career path, changing her direction from...
Are you deliberately using the word changing as many times as you can there?
Yeah, because we're in the change. Look, I'm changing rooms. Yeah.
But
So we're here more to talk about, well, she's creator of Pretty Clever Pants, and so we're here to find out how
to talk pants.
Yeah, we want to talk
I'm
pants.
good at that.
Yeah.
I'm good at that. So Pretty Clever Pants are exactly what they say. They're pretty and they're clever. So why they're clever? Because they've got a secret waterproof panel that runs from the front to the back for life's little leaks. So heavy periods, pelvic floor weakness, the laughing, coughing, sneezing, trampolining brigade. I'm not looking at anyone. Endometriosis, Crohn's and colitis, post-maternity. There's so many reasons why women leak. None of it their fault. However, we just keep quiet about it, don't we? And often, up until now anyway, we've been shuffling around the aisles of Boots and buying something absolutely hideous, but no longer.
So it's really common, but it's never normal, which is something we've picked up from women's health physios. So your pants, what was the journey of them? Because I know you've said we've read a little bit about your story, but you started off looking at periods and then moved into women who are suffering
40 plus.
Yeah.
So I had two teenage daughters at that time, back in 2011. It was the summer of 2011. We were on holiday, and they were chatting on the beach about potentially going to a sleepover when their period was due. And I thought, fine, but they were saying no. I don't think I should, because if I have an accident on the sheets, it's so embarrassing. And it just occurred to me that nothing much had changed since I was their age, and yet we'd moved on so much in terms of shapewear and sportswear. We knew about. I've got friends that wear sports bras and they don't do sport.
I've got tennis elbow and I don't play tennis.
Yes, we've all got shapewear, and we could go on a diet, we could go to the gym, whatever. We could. There's lots of reasons that we could avoid using those items, but periods come whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And it affects half the population worldwide. And it hadn't seemed to move on. It's still disposable products, which work very well, but for some women it's just not enough.
No.
So I have had so many stories in the intervening years of women who say, I work in a male-dominated environment. I have to stand up from a meeting thinking, please, is there a mark in the back of my skirt? I'm doing a long-haul flight and perimenopausal flooding. I've had that twice. And it's a shocker. It's a shocker. And so nobody says anything. We lower our voice when we talk about it, and it's all kind of a wee bit swept under the carpet, which is a real shame.
Yeah.
So that was the creation, that was the initial idea behind that.
Yeah, it was for teenagers. And so initially we surveyed 100 teenage girls across 3 schools, because I'm always very strong now to say to anyone who's thinking of starting a business, if you think it's a great idea, that's great, but ask somebody that you don't know, who's not family or friends, would they buy it? Would they actually put their hand in their pocket and pay for it? And how much really do they need it? So 100 teenage girls across 3 schools, results were incredible. 34% said they had accidents every month, which I would have expected, but 91% said they were so afraid of it happening they actually avoided school, sleepovers, sports, and light-coloured clothing.
Wow.
And for the vast majority of them, it probably would never be an issue, but emotionally it was a massive thing. And that's when I thought, we're definitely onto something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, we started the business on a whim, naive.
Sounds familiar.
How often we say business start?
I mean, before we get onto your business, because I think we're really fascinated by everything that you've said you've learned on your journey. And I do hate the word journey, but it sounds like you've really been on one. But you then moved on, so you did periods. But I think from our perspective of looking at perimenopausal flooding, stress incontinence, your business then moved over to women 40 plus.
That came quite far down the line, because originally the brand started out under the name Diary Doll, and Diary Doll meant checking when your period was due in your diary, and the doll made it quite young. And only sort of 4 years in, did realise that we were alienating every other woman of any. They would go onto the website and go, oh, it's not for me. And actually, teenagers never bought our product; their mums did.
Yes.
It's always mums'
Yeah,
job
that's
to pay for that
interesting,
kind
yeah.
of thing. So we kind of had to appeal to both, but it became increasingly obvious. We had some investors look at the business, and in doing so, they did lots of market research and focus groups. And overwhelmingly, the feedback came back saying periods are all well and good, but the fastest growing market in boots, the number one paper product in America is adult nappies.
Wow.
A whole stress incontinence.
Yeah.
But my biggest issue around incontinence or stress incontinence is that the language is horrible.
Yeah.
There's nothing attractive.
No,
At least if you're having periods, you're still young.
Yes, that's true.
Everything else
Yeah.
after that is
You're
Very
menopause
menopause is
for
just-
old if you.
yeah.
well, it's like,
Yeah.
it's frightening, and
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
think, I'm not past stage.
And they don't want to talk about it, and they don't know how to deal with it.
Well, stress incontinence, people don't actually know what it is.
Mm.
They just hear incontinence.
Yeah.
And it's not that. It's only when you put your body actually under stress that you.
Yeah, so
it
it's
happens.
sneezing all the...
Walking down the street, you're fine.
Yeah.
You know, you just went on the trampoline once, thought it was a good idea.
Yeah,
Never
laugh.
do it again.
Or skipping.
Yes.
So
Do you skip?
We've done a
We
little
did.
blog
We
skipping.
did.
Yeah.
No.
yeah.
I would just quite like to ask actually how the pants work, because I'm not sure.
Okay.
Is it something that you insert in, or is it just a pair of pants and you just wash them afterwards and that's...
They are super soft. They look and feel exactly like normal pants. They're
Yeah.
extra wide in the gussets so that if you wear a pad with them, then it doesn't hang out. 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't want to be in the gym changing room.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah.
So they look and feel exactly like normal underwear, and you machine wash them as normal. You can even tumble dry them on low heat, but they have a barrier.
Yeah.
So for some women that'll be enough. They won't wear anything else with them.
Yeah.
First, last day of the period,
Yeah.
or laughter leak if you think you might get caught out. For more than that, I would suggest you wear them as a backup with your normal sanitary protection. And a lot of women will do that.
Yeah. Yes. Because I wish I had actually known that through perimenopause, because it was always the second day of my period that was just incredibly heavy, and I had a moment standing in front of the whole room of students, and it's just like,
Gotta go. Yeah.
and I just had to leave the room, and thank God I had a cardigan with me that day, but I had no change of clothes, and it was just like,
Yeah.
I always,
I have
if
no
I ever
doubt.
see a woman walking down the street with a jacket tied around the waist,
yes,
my default position is she's had an accident.
Yeah.
You know, we still move that fashion trend along.
yes, exactly, it's just
Yeah.
like, the sleeves
So
are
I think so. That's for periods,
Yeah.
and then if you are having any form of incontinence,
Yes.
it will
Absolutely.
just does it.
It's 100% cotton. No, it's 100% cotton next to your skin,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's a thermal polyurethane, which is like a really thin waterproofing fabric you would have on mattresses on the outside layer. So it's sandwiched between the two.
Yeah.
You've got the normal body of the pants, then you've got the
Yeah.
100% cotton, and the sandwich
So
between the two is the.
While you're working on your pelvic floor muscles,
Yeah.
which I think we have talked about, and again we'll link to our other vlogs on this, it's a protective layer, isn't it, really?
Completely.
So you kind of
Yeah.
go, do you know
Well,
what, I'm doing my squeezy up, I'm actually practicing my pelvic floor muscles, things for most
You
women
did it
can.
there, didn't you, in the pelvic floor?
Yeah.
Oh, I did. She said that. I did it.
But
Just mention the word, it is.
Now, I'm really interested, and this nearly segues into, you just mentioned, I think, what did you say the waterproof layer was made of?
Thermal polyurethane.
So listen to you now know
TPU.
about TPUs. So can we just talk about the whole sort of
Science.
setting up? No, not even the science.
Setting up a
I'm going to set up a
How-
business.
How not to set up a business.
Okay.
A whole heap of naivety, some money, and great friends and family who kind of go, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
And basically wired money to a factory in China with a drawing that I did of exactly what it was I wanted. And amazingly, the stock came back and it worked.
Yeah.
But 6 months in, we started to get returns with fraying waistbands, stitching errors, things that hadn't even occurred to me that you should
Quality
check.
control,
That's
yes.
the word. I'd never heard that before. Amazingly, the waterproofing was fine, it worked fine.
Okay.
But that's when I realised quite quickly I can't go to retailers with this. It was fine on the website, and we replaced lots of them and sort of apologised. Didn't happen with all of them, of course not, but it was a big problem and a big lesson learned. You think you can't just wing it and set it up and go,
Yeah.
yay, these
Well, it's your reputation, isn't it, at
Yeah.
the end of the day?
Yeah. But the wonderful thing is, I had to learn social media. I had to go on
Sounds familiar.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff that, quite frankly, could suck years out of your life that you'll never see again.
Yeah.
But in doing so, you're able to address directly your customers, which is quite good. So while our customers never talk about our products, or very rarely talk about our products on social media, the kids don't want to share it with their friends.
No, of course.
Oh look, I found these pants that help with my period leaks. Never going to happen. And their mums don't really talk about it that much because they love all my friends as I do. We're not great on social media hashtags. They don't understand how it works. So they might help if it was a friend that needed it. They would recommend, but they don't really use social media in that way.
Yeah.
However, when we have these stitching errors and problems, or people saying this has happened, that's happened, they're very public when there's something that's gone wrong. They talk about it.
Oh, suddenly they find their voice.
Yes, but you can also counteract that by going back and saying we're so sorry, we're learning as we go.
Yeah.
Please, things like we put in small, medium, large, and extra large. No, teenage girls do not like being large.
Extra large. No.
And their mothers like it even less. So we had to change all that, and on social media say we're so sorry. It's changed it on the website. Obviously, we can't change it on the stock because it's now here. But just pull the tag off before you give it to her, and and they loved it. They were like, "No, that's really great. You listen to us."
Yeah, and that's just listening
to
your
customers.
Listening
to your customers. So social media. So you had to develop your. I mean, in a previous life, Anne has worked in design. So, Carol, have you worked in design? Did you know anything about products? Did you know anything about what materials? So you had to learn about your product, your market, your manufacturing, your
quality control,
your social media. But you're still smiling, and you said just
still married. That's amazing. That's an achievement in itself.
You started doing that. How long ago was that?
2012.
Wow. So 5-6 years ago, and you didn't have any experience in that sector. And I think it is coming down to this. You can teach, for want of a better expression,
an old dog new tricks.
And actually, you're trained for something else, aren't you?
So one of the things I did was I contacted Women in Home magazine because I'm a subscriber to them, and I said, every month I read in your magazine about women who change their lives beyond 50. And so I did. And therefore, you're partly responsible for this business. Therefore, you're duty bound to give me a double page spread.
And did they?
Did. Women reaching out for women.
Well, which is exactly why we're here, because it was so wonderful that you actually responded. It was so lovely. And I think that's what's so wonderful that we've learned today, is that you've been incredibly helpful sharing information that you've had, and the one thing from the article I read was that setting up your own business is the most difficult thing that you've done, because it is, you're reinventing your career, your whole brand image, I suppose, in terms of what you're doing.
And let's face it, it's not a sexy product.
It's
you're putting your name to something that's
not sexy. I'm trying to ask people to talk about something they do not want to talk about.
No, and I think that was
one of my favourite things is standing up at talking at events, and it's a mixed audience.
Yes.
And I can see the guys sort of, changing.
Oh, it must be time for the break.
He's going to talk about women's bits and all. And I always start by saying, you don't need me to tell you how the anatomy of a female works.
Yeah.
But the fact is, women have periods every single month.
Yeah.
On top of all that, we have pelvic floor weakness, we have post-maternity, we have all these other things, and at the moment no one's doing anything about it. That's a business.
Yeah.
So let's not focus on the nitty-gritty end, but let's focus on the business.
Yeah.
And then they go,
I know how
talking pants, bottom lines.
So I think, what would your, 3 tips be for anybody thinking about setting up a business over
in their 50s?
And like us, really we had very little social media experience. We've learnt on the job. That's about us. What would you recommend?
Number one, be absolutely sure that it's a business that other people want to put their hands in the pocket and pay money for. If it's a product, that people are interested in the topic. If it's a website or a traffic of information, or if it's an app, is there one out there already? Really, do you need to be? Because you could actually be saving yourself a lot of money by stopping right there.
Yes.
And the only way to do that is to not ask family and friends. They will always tell you what they think you want to hear because they love you and they want to support you. So get out there and ask complete strangers. This is what it is. How much would you be willing to pay for it?
Yeah.
And if the feedback comes back and says yes, I would, then just take it easy. First of all, is it protectable? Can you scale it up? Can you bring out other elements of it? I'd never have started an underwear business because Calvin Klein does that. Why would I? They're all great, and they've got really deep pockets, and I haven't. So it's only because it was a USP there that I saw nobody else was doing, and I think probably because most businesses are still run by men. That's probably why nobody else was doing it. And it was a scary sticking your neck on the line, but I never wavered from the fact that there's a market and a need for it, definitely, but it takes much longer than I ever thought. You know, here we are,
Patience,
6-7 years down the line, absolutely. It's not going to happen overnight. You stop reading the stories in whatever magazine it is in the hairdressers, because it's rubbish. And these people never tell you about the sleepless nights.
No.
And
the worry about
real low points when you think, the customer hasn't got their orders, I haven't got enough stock left, it's great and exciting when you first start, but the harsh realities kick in quite hard, and there's loads of elements of business you won't know anything about. The boring stuff, the banking, the post, the warehousing, the logistics, the IP protection, the business plan. So make sure you've got enough people around you that if you can't do it, as long as you've got someone who can do it and isn't going to charge you funny money to do it.
Because actually that's a good point.
Delegate.
But there are lots of people
because you can't be good at everything.
Oh, I liked it. I just wanted to draw nice pants and go that colour and that colour, and I can do the publicity and I can turn up the stores. I can do all. But there's loads of stuff that I didn't really know.
There were bits in between that were missing that you hadn't actually thought, who's going to do those? Well, that'd be me.
So in terms of the product now, where can people get them now? So what's the story?
So I got it to a point where I thought, right now this is ramping up big time, that I'm going to have to pay huge amounts of money to get it to the next level. If you want to talk worldwide to an audience of women and educate them at the same time, you need massive funds. And I was never going to have that. So I knew I had to get under the wing of a bigger player. So I didn't know whether that was going to be a Procter & Gamble or whether it was going to be, something completely left field. And as it happened, it was quite left field. It was a TV shopping channel called High Street TV. And they are the success behind NutriBullet.
Oh, okay.
So they very much pick health-based products most of the time. And I was you've got to get out there, that's the other thing with running a business. I didn't press the flesh, meet people, talk, network. And even when you feel you don't want to, gotta do it. That one, no others. And in doing so, I met someone who said, you need to talk to High Street TV, I think that'd be a great fit. And it took probably a year and a half of negotiations and convincing them, because the board members are mostly guys. All the women in the office got it completely and were like, absolutely, a need for it. The guys needed a bit more convincing. And I made it as easy for them as I could by saying, take the stock we have at cost. I come with it, so I will talk about it as much as you want, and we'll do it together. So it was a bit of a no-brainer from their point of view. But I'm delighted to say, sort of 6-7 years down the line, we're now testing in 10 countries.
Wow. So
they sub-license. I sold them a license.
They've
taken it over. We changed the name to Pretty Clever Pants because that encompassed all markets and it wasn't just about youngsters. They changed the packaging, made it much more commercial looking and less cutesy. And they now subcontract to other countries around the world through their TV shopping channels. So
great.
I've been dubbed into Korean and Philippine, and I want to see.
And I bet all the women all over the world have exactly the same issue.
They do, but they have different attitudes to it. In certain countries like Korea or China or Japan, it's very much about respect, cleanliness, hygiene. They very much respect their elderly, and they've got huge aging populations. I'm told in supermarkets in Korea or Japan, it's not toys and magazines at the checkout; it's incontinence products.
Well, so you.
Well, let's see. Never say never. I'm also very honest about the fact I've not made a fortune from it at all yet. No. But if it goes the way it could go, who knows? Sky's the limit. But if I get out with my money back and my head held high, then that's good.
Well, you look fantastic. Hi to us today.
Well, Carol, thank you. We can't thank you enough for giving us the time. Anyway.
Well, the lovely thing about this is meeting other women, and women have been so helpful to us, and I will always be helpful to other women. Which is, when you guys came in, I thought that was me not that long ago. I'm trying not to do the kind of bitter argument. But
we're still leaving full of optimism and positivity.
It's true.
You're still laughing. You're still smiling.
Each other, which is great, and tap into the female network. It's very powerful and they're very helpful if you just ask nicely.
Yes.
I think that's a really nice note to leave it on.
Yeah.
So we'd like to say thank you. Very nice.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you. Bye.